So today we start Gaussian process, which is one of the very uh, important topic in machine learning. So and we can discuss it in terms of kernel function. So let's start like what is Gaussian process. Before diving into that, I just want to discuss few properties of normal distribution, which is Gaussian distribution. One is that if you have a Gaussian distribution, right? For an example, this shown in green, right? This shown in green. It is a bivariate Gaussian. If you marginalize it, right? If you marginalize it, so you will have two distribution, probable over XA and over XB, right? So both of those distribution itself will be Gaussian. For an example, if you see here, so you this green distribution when you marginalize over when you marginalize XB, so it will come somewhere here, and the distribution will look like this, right? Which is shown here in blue, right? Even for if you marginalize XA, right? If you marginalize XA, then you will left with XB. So what will happen if you left with XB? So this is the marginalization here, and you will left with another Gaussian distribution, which is like this, right? So it is not for bivariate. If you have 100-dimensional normal distribution, and if you marginalize 60 random variables out of it, the remaining 40 will be Gaussian distribution, right? So XA, XB you can think of as a set, right? So if you have some normal distribution over some set of random variables, any subset can be marginalized, and the remaining subset will be like having a Gaussian distribution over it. This is one property of a Gaussian distribution. The other property of a Gaussian distribution is conditional. If you have two distribution like XA, if you have bivariate Gaussian XA comma XB, if you condition on any of them, for example, if you fix the value of XB, then this red line is having the XB, then the distribution over XA given XB will also be normal, and it will look like this, right? Because so it is shown here in red. So it is a conditional Gaussian distribution. Wherever you condition, wherever you do a condition, the remaining will be a Gaussian distribution, right? Even the other way also. Even the other way also. If you take a conditional Gaussian distribution here, then this will be a Gaussian distribution, right? So this is a very nice property of a Gaussian distribution, that marginalized distribution is also Gaussian distribution, and conditional is also Gaussian distribution. Any question on this?
No, sir.
Okay. So remember this. It is very, very important for today's lecture, Gaussian distribution, right? And if you ask me like what are how we can find it out? So think XA and XB as a subset, right? So even XA and XB are the vectors. Don't think it is a bivariate Gaussian. So here XA and XB are variables, but here XA and XB itself is a vector. So you may have a very long vector which is having so many random variables. So few random variables you mention it as XA, right? XA, and few random variables you mention it as XB, right? This is XB, what is shown here. So XA is a set of random variables, XB is also a set of random variables, and all together you can say it as X. Similarly, for corresponding XA, the mean is mu A. For the corresponding random variable XB, you have a mean vector mu B, right? It is also a vector. Altogether, this is known as mu, which is a mean vector of XA, right? If you see the covariance matrix of XA, X, if you see the covariance matrix of XA, X, which is sigma, you can decompose it. This is a covariance matrix of only for XA, right? This is a covariance matrix for only for XB, right? And this is a cross covariance matrix, which is between XA and XB, right? So just to think over, let's say you have 4 by 4 matrix, X1, X2, X3, X4. So if you just take X1, X2, this is this covariance matrix. If you take X2, X3, this is this covariance matrix. And for X1 and between X1, X2, X2, X3, this is the covariance matrix, right? And you can find any blocks. They may not be symmetric, right? So we'll take an example, don't worry about it. And covariance matrix is symmetric, and hence this is XAB is a transpose of XBA, right? So just for now, this is a precision, nothing else. So precision also, like you can just block over these random variables, mu A, lambda B, and it is a lambda is a inverse of sigma A. But don't take directly that this sigma, this lambda A is the inverse of sigma A. No, you can't say that. The only thing you can say is that lambda is the inverse of sigma. There is a way to find it out, and we'll see if it is required, right? So if somebody asks you what is a marginalized Gaussian distribution of XA, it is very easy. So if somebody asks you marginalize all XBs, you left with XA, right? You left with XA. And the mean is mu A, and the covariance matrix is sigma A. This is what is shown here. So marginalized distribution over XA is nothing but simple as it is. How to find out a conditional Gaussian distribution? So the conditional Gaussian distribution is like for given set of variable XB, what is a distribution over XA, right? So it is important. Remember this term. So we are saying if you somebody tell you these values, right? What do you think? What is a distribution over XA then? So to find it out, because it is also, I already told you that conditional distribution is a Gaussian distribution. It means you have two variables, mean and variance. So conditional mean is nothing but mu A, which is the mean for XA, plus sigma AB multiply sigma AB inverse multiply XB minus mu B, right? This is a conditional mean. So there is a way to derive it, but right now I don't think that we need to go into that detail. So assume that they are like, for those who are very curious about this derivation, I can do it for you. But for now, just for the sake of this lecture, you take it as that this is a conditional Gaussian distribution. It is a way to find it out. So, and conditional covariance matrix is like this, right? How I remember it is this way. So for conditional covariance matrix, what I do, I just take it in a cyclic order. First take this, subtract it with this, multiply by the inverse of this, multiply this, right? In a cyclic order, you just go this way, right? First quadrant is as it is, and then subtract it by the multiplication of all these, the remaining three, and where the mineral one is the inverse, right? So this is a conditional covariance matrix, and this is a conditional mean. How I remember conditional mean is like it is a sum of mean of the first set, which is this one, plus the multiplication of the covariance matrix in the cyclic order again, like this, from XA, sigma AB, sigma BB inverse, and then the product of XB minus BUB. So you just find it out what is the way to learn that thing, right? Okay. So these are the formulas for finding it out, the conditional distribution. So here, not to forget that XA is again a Gaussian distribution, and to find it out, the mean and variance of this Gaussian distribution is these things, right? And for marginalization, this is the formula. Fine. Not only this, you can apply Bayes theorem over it, right? So you know some Gaussian distribution over this X, and this is a likely, and you know the conditional Gaussian distribution also, right? P of Y. So if you multiply, it is a joint distribution, right? If you multiply P of Y given X, multiply P of Y. What is this? It is P Y comma X, right? If somebody asks you what is the marginalized distribution of Y, so what you can do, you just marginalize X over it, right? If you marginalize X over it, you will left with what? Py. Py. And for the sake of simplicity, when you simplify it, you will get this form, right? You will get this form. And if somebody asks you what is probability of X given Y, you are just applying a Bayes theorem, right? You are applying a Bayes theorem, and this is what it is. So we will see, like, if it is required, I will derive it again. So the only point here on the slide is that we can apply Bayes theorem also on this Gaussian distribution, right? Fine. So now, getting equipped with this knowledge, prerequisites of Gaussian process, that I have a Gaussian distribution where marginalized and conditional are Gaussian distribution itself, and we can apply Bayes theorem also. And applying Bayes theorem, we can again find out some distributions, conditional, right? And posterior, in terms of posterior also. Okay, let's start then today's lecture. Try to understand it very clearly, right? Then it will give you intuitive feel of it. Otherwise, if you try to make it and mug it, then it will not help you to, you will not able to understand it, right? So let's see the things very clearly from the scratch. You remember this is my function y, right? In linear regression, this was y, right? This is this line. And how I was getting a line, I was having a weight vector, which is intercept and slope. And I was multiplying it. Just hold on. So this is weight vector, and this is my x, right? So you don't know that this is my function yx. So just to show you, I am showing it in terms of line, right? If you apply a distribution over W, right, which is normal distribution with mean 0 and some covariance matrix which is diagonal, assume that it is identity, right? And lambda alpha is nothing but it will tell you how precise your distribution over W it is, right? If my lambda is very large, right, so it means the inverse of is very small, and I will get the very peaky distribution, right? Because my covariance is that way. So it is a precision factor, nothing else. So if I assume distribution over W, and I am picking W again and again, first tell me, if I pick W as my mean here, which line I will get? So I am trying to draw a function, but here I have some random variable W, which I can draw from a normal distribution. So if I pick a mean from the distribution, which line I will get? From where it will go? This line. Anybody? Origin, very good. Origin, but origin can any line can go from origin, right? There could be 1 million lines which can go from origin. So this is like, for an example, what I mean to say, it will go from origin, it will go from origin, it will go from origin. But I'm specifically talking about what is the slope of that line. If intercept, so if it intercept is 0, and what is the slope of that line? What is the slope of the line? So my slope is not 1, right? So my weight vector, I am drawing it from this distribution. So mean is 0. It's a 0 vector, right? So it's a Gaussian, bivariate Gaussian distribution. So it is like this. So this is mean here. It means it is a vector of 0, 0. So it is a vector of 0. It means intercept is 0 and slope is 0. So if you pick a mean, I will get 0, 0. So slope will be what? 0. Very nice. If intercept is 0 and slope is 0, then what will be the line? It will kiss x-axis, right? It will kiss x-axis everywhere. So my line will be this. So this my line will go over x-axis, right? Now if I pick W again and again, right, and draw my lines, I pick my W again and again, and I draw my lines using all those W's. I will get this kind of a structure. So most of the line will go near to this x-axis, right? And because near to this x-axis, and few lines will be like this, right? Sorry. Yeah, few lines will be like this. So it is a kind of a broom structure where the density is very high near the axis. Do you agree this? So if I pick W again and again and draw those lines again and again using those W, it will be a broom kind of a structure where the density is near to the x-axis because my mean is near that. The probability that I will pick my W near to the mean is high. So it means all those lines which will be near to the x-axis will be high. So it will be those. So if I pick 100 lines, then I can draw these lines like this. Is it making sense to you guys? Yes or no? Very nice. Very good. Right. Now see very clearly again. So it is what I'm saying, that if you pick W again and again, so this is like you have these kind of lines, and most of the sorry, I couldn't. So these are the lines which is very near to the x-axis, and very few lines away to the x-axis, right? Now if you see for a particular x, right? So let's say this was a particular x, and what are the values that this x can take? What are the values, target values this x can take? So this is the target value, this is the second target value, this is the third target value, this is the fourth target value, this is the fifth target value, this is the fifth target value, this is the sixth target value, right? So what do you think? This is a univariate Gaussian, right? Over this red line. For a given x, you will have some distribution for a given t. What is this distribution then? Gaussian distribution. Very nice. This is a Gaussian distribution. And for every x, it will be the same, right? For every x, it will be the Gaussian distribution. Whether you take this x or this x or this x, it will be a Gaussian distribution, right? So now I can say that if I put a distribution over W, I will get a distribution over a function, right? Right? So I can say that I have a way to define a distribution over functions, right? because I can draw a line. Let's say my function is a line, so I can draw a line from a W, and I keep on drawing. So it means I can draw. I'm drawing a function from a distribution. Can you see it in this way? So this broom kind of structure is actually nothing but it is a distribution over lines. So line in general is a function. So I'm saying it's a distribution over lines or distribution over function. Can we say this way? So I am defining a distributions over a function. Is it making sense to you? Very nice. So now here is a way to say that I have a distributions over a function. And it is easy to understand and see. So now we have a distribution over a function with, okay, very nice. Let's go then. Let's further proceed into this direction. I have a distribution over a function. So now for a particular W, that is one thing. Just keep this thing in your head that by this way we can define a distribution over a function. The second thing is this. Let's say you have a data set and you make a design matrix with that data set. So just to recall that these are the first sample, second sample, third sample, fourth sample in terms of X, right? Target is not here. And this is a W vector here. W1, W2, W3. And when you multiply it is nothing but it's a prediction here, right? For that W, prediction 1, prediction 2, prediction 3, prediction, right? For all those predictions. What do you think? What is the distribution over these predictions, right? Do you understand my question? So I have some X, which I write in terms of a basis function or design matrix. I use some W. W is drawn from a Gaussian distribution. So if I want to see what is a distribution over predictions, nothing but a target value or Y values. So here am I interchangeably using target values and Y values. Actually, just to be precise, target value is given in a data set and Y is the value which we predict using a function. So let's keep it Y here. So what is a distribution over Y for a given X? So this is a vector of Y, right? So this is X1 basis function. This is X2 basis function. This is Xn basis function, right? So there are n basis. So there are n samples. And for every sample we have projected into a feature map using basis functions. So these are n basis functions and n basis samples, or in short you say that these are the feature maps. Then for every X we are multiplying it with W, right? And then predict it. This is my Y1 value, this is my Y2 value, this is my Y3 value, and this is my Yn value. What do you think? What is the distribution over these Ys? Given that I have drawn this W from a Gaussian distribution, right? So here, one another beautiful property of a Gaussian distribution and Gaussian random variables are that if you have X1 random variable, which is normally distributed, and if you have X2 normal random variable, and you take a linear combination of it, right? Some alpha and beta, which can be any real number. If you take a linear combination, the output you get will also be having a normal distribution, right? It's a Gaussian distribution. So now if that is the case, so W, each component of W is, let's say I have some, so it was a bivariate Gaussian, just to be discrete, very precise. So I have a normal distribution with mean and intercept and slope. So it has two component, intercept and slope. What do you think? What is the distribution over this intercept? What is the distribution over intercepts only? Very nice. No, I'm just asking. So one student is saying always zero. So I don't understand what is always zero here. Yashdeep, can you unmute yourself and let me know what is zero here? I am asking that you are drawing W from a Gaussian distribution. So I am asking what is the distribution of each component here, when W could be a multivariate vector, right? It has so many components, which is drawn from a normal distribution. What is the distribution over each component? I just showed you in first slide that if you marginalize all other and you keep one, that is also having a normal distribution. So over each component is also Gaussianly distributed or normally distributed, right? That is one thing. So now this one first component is normal distributed, second component is normally distributed, right? And you take a linear combination with this x, right? Because x is having some value, let's say x1 and x2. There are two values, x1 and x2, which is nothing but a real number here, x1 and x2. So you multiply this x1 with first component, you multiply this x2 with second component, and then take a sum. So you will get some y1, y value, right? For this x value, which is a bivariate now this vector, you will get some y value. Because it is a linear composition of a normal component, it will also be normal. So every component of this vector will be normal distributed. And if every component is normally distributed, then what is the distribution over this whole vector? Who will tell me this? If every component of y vector is normally distributed, then collectively the distribution over this vector will be what? Gaussian. Very good. Very good. Normal Gaussian. Very nice. So now you are making a sense. Now, this is making a sense to you guys. This is very. Now, if this makes sense to you, so let's see further. So now if it is a normal Gaussian distribution y, then I need to know like what is the mean and the covariance of this y, because I know that this is a normal distribution. So I need to find out what is the mean of this. So let's say what is the mean means what is the expected value of y. And expected of value of y can be defined how? Y can be defined as a product of this design matrix and W. So here random variable is W only. So this is constant phi. So it comes out of that expectation. So phi will come out of the expectation, and you will left with the expectation of W only, right? So expectation of W, you know that the W was normally distributed with mean 0. So the expectation of Y will also be 0. It means the functions, the distribution over those functions, the maximum probability you will get a line which always come on the X, right? As we have just seen in the first slide itself. So this is the distribution over a function where my mean function is nothing, but it's a 0 function where everywhere it is 0. Is this make sense to you? So we are like correlating the concept which we have just discussed on first slide. So the distribution over functions is normally, and I need to know what is my mean. So it is saying it is 0. So I have a function which is having 0 everywhere. And just we have discovered in the first slide itself, right? And it is actually right. Now the second thing is what is the covariance of y? So covariance matrix can be seen as the outer product of that vector or random variable vector. That is y transpose, right? Because y transpose can be y is nothing but it's a sigma w. You just replace it sigma w. Sigma will come outside because they are as a constant, and you will left with the outer product of w transpose, which is nothing but it's a covariance matrix of w. And covariance of w is nothing but it's a lambda inverse I. So I will get absorbed in this design matrix, and lambda inverse will be this 1 by lambda. And it is nothing but it's a Gram-Schmidt matrix, right? In kernel functions, we just read like in the last lectures, what is Gram-Schmidt matrix? The sigma transpose is nothing but it's a Gram-Schmidt matrix. Any question till here? Can you write yes or no for this? Very good. Very nice. So now this is just to conclude in one line. What I have said, that if you are drawing a parameters from some distribution which define a function, then it is nothing but you can define a distribution over a function itself. So if you are drawing a parameters from a normal distribution, then function is also normally distributed. And the mean of that function, because it's a Gaussian distribution, is this. And the variance of that is this, which is nothing but a Gram-Schmidt matrix, right? Fine. So linear regression model provides us with a particular example of a Gaussian process, right? So here we see that how linear regression can be seen as a Gaussian process. In general, a Gaussian process is defined as a probability distribution over a function yx. So in general, as I said, like it is a distribution over a functions. We have just seen by taking an example of a line as a function, such that the set of values of yx evaluated at arbitrary set of points x1 to xn jointly have a Gaussian distribution. So this line is important, though you have seen it. So I've said that for a given set of x1, x2, x3 until xn, you will have some values. I don't know where those value will be, but it is y1, y2, y3, and yn. These values, if you see collectively, it is a vector y1 to yn, which is also normally distributed, right? Just we have seen it. Okay. And if it is the case, then we can define that Gaussian distribution by mean and variance. We have just seen that. Generally, we don't know mean, so we make it 0, right? Let's say somebody asks you to define without telling you the distribution over a parameter, and he say just you apply a Gaussian distribution over a functions. If you want to apply a Gaussian distribution over a function, then you need to think of some prior over the distributions. But if you don't know any prior, what is a mean, then it is safe to think that it is a 0. So in prior, if you don't have any knowledge about prior of a functions, what is the distribution of a function, it is okay to think that they are distributed normally with mean 0. And the covariance is nothing but it is like a Gram-Schmidt matrix, right? Oh, sorry, it is nothing but it's a distribution between, it's a correlation between this y and this y, right? So if there are 5 x1 to xn, x1, x2, x3, let's say, just to be precise, then the matrix will be 3 by 3, right? The matrix will be 3 by 3, and for every x there will be y. So there will be y1, y2, y3, right? So what is how y1 is correlated with y2? First, how y1 is related with y1, so it will come here. How y1 is correlated with y2, it comes here. How y1 is correlated with y3, it comes here. So on diagonal, it is correlation with itself, and off diagonal you can think it, right? So how y1 is correlated with y3, y1, y2. So it is a correlation matrix between y1, yxn to yxn. But here, because y, just we have proved it, that this correlation of y with y can be written as a Gram-Schmidt matrix, right? In case of this linear models. So here you can write it as in terms of a kernel function. So here my kernel function is nothing but it's a linear function, right? So I'm just taking a dot product. But here you can also use a radial basis function also. So in short, what is Gaussian distribution trying to tell you here is Gaussian process, that you need to find out a correlation between every y's, which can be seen as a kernel function, right? Xn to xn. So if you take this kernel function, it means you can form a covariance matrix, right? And it means that how your all y's are related with all other y's, right? And you calculate this entry using this Gaussian distribution, this kernel function. Then the type of functions, and you know what is mean? Mean is always zero vector, right? It is always zero vector. So the type of functions you draw from this covariance matrix is this one. Can anybody tell me how I'm drawing this blue function? Just to make you more clear. What do you think how I'm drawing this blue or any of the function? Can anybody tell me in a class how I'm drawing these functions? Drawing means how I'm plotting its function. If I ask you to plot this curve, this thing in your MATLAB or in your Python, how you will do it? So just to make you concrete, let's see how if I want to plot this thing. So it means I need to find out a Gaussian distribution. So to find out a Gaussian distribution, first I need to take a mean, right? Mean. What I will do, I will first use a Python function of linspace, linearly separated places between -2 plus 1, between -1 to +1. Let's say I have taken 50 places. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and these are the 50 places. So now this is of a 50 dimension vector, right? It is a 50 dimension vector. So I will take 50 by 1 dimension vector and I take 0, 0 for it. I put 0, 0, 0 for this vector, right? So it's a 0 vector. Then I need to calculate a covariance matrix which is 50 by 50, right? 50 by 50 covariance matrix. And I calculate each entry of this matrix using this function, right? So here this is my x1, xi, comma xj, right? Xi, xj or x dash. So for every pair of x, I will calculate this and it will fill this matrix of 50 by 50, right? 50 by 50. So now I have a covariance matrix of 50 by 50 and a mean vector 50. Using my Python library function, I will take a random sample from it. Can you write quickly yes or no? Whether you know how to take a random sample from a Gaussian distribution or not? You might have done random sampling, right? Very good. So now this is a covariance matrix. This is a mean. So you take a random sample from it. What is the dimension of that random sample? If you take a random sample from this Gaussian distribution, (50 by 1), right? 50 by 1. Now what you will do, there will be some values. So value V1, value V2, value V50, right? You take this values and it corresponding to for every x1 to x50, right? It is for x1 to x50 for a corresponding values, x1 to x50, which you have taken from the lean separable variables here. You might, if you remember. So this was that x vector. For every x, you will get v1, vi. So this is x, then you plot v1, v2, v3, v4, v5, v6 until v50. And if you join these things now, and if you join these things, you will get a function. Is this making a sense? This is how they are plotting this thing. Yes or no? Can you write it yes or no if you understood this thing? However, if you, very good, very nice, very nice. So this is how they are making it. So today I will stop here. You think over it. I strongly encourage you to plot this thing in your computer or laptop. And tomorrow I will continue so that it will form you a better intuition in your head. And then when I will discuss a little further, it will make sense to you, right? So I strongly encourage you to do this exercise, what I have just shown you, right? So today I will upload all those lectures which I left. Drop your attendance. Thank you very much.